We're going to follow where we were with Mrs. Dalloway. I'm going to explain you the end of the novel. At the end of the story, Peter Walsh thinks that Clarissa Dalloway doesn't want to read his letter. He blames his Indian experience for his difficulty of expressing his feelings, which is quite strange and maybe not really true, because for British men it's generally difficult to express their feelings. But he thinks that is a question of his experience in India. He meets the Morrises and finally decides he will go to Clarissa's party to ask Richard about how is India going and for gossip too. Finally, Peter Walsh goes to Clarissa's party. There, the omniscient narrator tells us that Clarissa loves social life. It could have been a good idea to live near the country because she loves it, and it would have been good for her health because she enjoys social life a lot. As we can see, Mrs. Dalloway is a collective novel and every character is very important. There is not only the protagonist who is important, but all characters are. The omniscient narrator gives importance to all characters the same. The Prime Minister attends the party. Who was the Prime Minister at the time of the novel, when the novel was published? Clarissa introduces Peter to Lady Bratton, telling him that she had been in Burma, in India. Lady Bratton, called Millicent Bratton, is a woman interested in politics. I quote, "She had the thought of empire always at hand, the Union Jack," end of quote. Sally Seton also attends the party and she explains Clarissa that she has had 5 children. Ellen Atkins accused Hugh Whitebread of kissing her for saying that women should have votes. Here we have a situation in which Hugh Whitebread shows how sexist he is and how he pushes women. He shuts Ellen Atkins' mouth by kissing her, which is really aggressive. Peter and Clarissa talk together calmly. The Bradshaws tell Clarissa about Settimo's suicide. I quote page 133. A young man had killed himself. I think that this affects Clarissa Dalloway deeply. I interpret the text. This is what the text says. Quote, "If it were now to die, were now to be most happy," she had said to herself once, page 134. Quotation. "Somehow it was her disaster, her disgrace," page 134. I would like to ask you, why do you think that she feels identified with the young man who has killed himself? Is it because she's not satisfied with her life? Is it because she thought about committing suicide too? Why is this connection between Clarissa Dalloway and Septimus? There is a quotation on page 134 that says, "If Richard had not been there, she could crouch like a bird and gradually revive." So probably she has problems of self-esteem, she's quite depressed. And there is another quotation that says, "Odd, incredible, she had never been so happy," on the same page. So she changes her feelings very fast. Also at the beginning of the novel, when she talked about the service and she was angry at Peter Walsh, but then some minutes later she felt happy again, thinking about her dress and the party. So probably her changes The changes of her mood are because of her hormones and because she's in menopause and she changes her feelings very fast. Also, it's because of her personality, maybe, because she's a moody person. Maybe what Virginia Woolf was trying to show was how women or some women change their mood very fast. But also, Peter Wells is a moody character, so I think that Virginia Woolf was trying to show how characters change their feelings very fast depending on what they think. She suddenly feels happy. In one paragraph, she said, I quote, "Somehow it was her disaster," and in the following paragraph, she had never been so happy. We had previously seen this change of mood. She's a moody character. Probably the experience of hearing about death helps her to appreciate her own life. I quote, "No pleasure could equal this having done with the triumphs of youth." Page 134. In the last section, let's call it section as the novel doesn't have any chapter, Peter asks, "Where is Clarissa?" to Sally. He remembers last time Clarissa and he met. I quote, "Among the cauliflowers in the moonlight, page 136. I think that this is a romantic but strange quotation because of the cauliflowers. I quote, "She had picked a rose." End of quote. Page 136. She's always enjoying the beauty of flowers, Clarissa Dalloway. It contrasts with the following paragraph in which Sally states, "That was his old trick, opening a pocket knife," thought Sally. "Always opening and shutting a knife when he got excited." Page 136. The word excited there refers to a penis symbol. Probably the knife is a symbol of Peter Wells' phallus. Clarissa Dalloway doesn't work, or at least it is not mentioned in the novel. And we may wonder why she's so rich. Maybe she has inherited the money or she received it from her husband. There are many literary figures in the novel. Literary figures mentioned like Shakespeare, Milton, and Emily Bronte. I quote, "She still had a little Emily Bronte she had given her." Page 136. They refer to a doll, probably. Clarissa is quite superficial. Thinking about Hugh, he will not do things like kissing Sally to shut her mouth. Sally thinks that it must be sad for Peter to be alone at his age, without having children. I quote, "Clarissa was at heart a snob." Peter didn't like cabbages. He preferred human beings. At the end of the novel, in almost the last page, the same idea is expressed with humor. At the beginning of the novel, there is a reference to cabbages. He did not like cabbages, he preferred human beings. And at the end, until Peter Wells said, "Musing among the vegetables, what was it? I prefer men to cauliflowers." I think that it is a way to express that Peter Wells finds superficial Clarissa's love for flowers and plants. Maybe it is a way, an unconscious way, to express that he doesn't understand femininity. Referring to Clarissa, I quote, "Despairing of human relationships. People were so difficult. She often went into the garden and got from her flowers a piece which men and women never gave her. So Clarissa preferred to to meet flowers sometimes, to be close to flowers, to feel better, where she didn't feel fine with people. I quote, "She was like a lily," Sally said, "a lily by the side of a pool," page 140. The novel finishes with Richard feeling proud of his daughter, Elizabeth, and Peter asking Sally, "Where is Clarissa?" and saying, "I will come." So he refers to, to Clarissa, and he says that he will be with her. But he asks, "What is this excitement, terror?" And Sally answers, "It is Clarissa." So probably at the end of the novel, it is clear that Peter has fear. He's afraid of Clarissa Dalloway. Probably the author is trying to express how some men were afraid of women power and women independence. The end is quite romantic because it expresses sublime love, a kind of love that makes the lover feel surprise, excitement, but fear at the same time. Thank you very much for watching this video. Tomorrow we will complete this Virginia Woolf's lecturers with the analysis of the texts. So read the texts that are online and we will discuss them tomorrow in the collaborated session. Thank you very much. Bye bye.